So some of the other work that we work on, one of the other largest campaigns that we have is around public transit. And a lot of people ask us, well, what does public transit have anything to do with the environmental justice movement? Particularly here in Chicago, and for us it's really a question of having the right to public transit and having the right to have less cars in our community. We had more public transit in our community 7 years ago, and when they cut a bus line in our neighborhood, our car population practically tripled in the course of 2 years. Car permit rates jumped, car insurance rate in our neighborhood jumped because there were so many more cars in our neighborhood. We started to see a lot more parents who would normally walk their children to school driving 2 blocks to drop off the children at school. And so this culture of no longer walking, this culture of starting to drive everywhere and do everything by car has really had an impact on our community. Not just because people are walking less, but because then our younger folks, our younger children, are now more overweight. They're now dealing with obesity levels because they're not accustomed to walking to places, and now they're accustomed to driving everywhere. And so when you have more cars, you have more air pollution. But more importantly, when you have a public transit system that's too expensive and doesn't take you where you want to go, the question then becomes, where is my right to public transit? Where is my right to being able to get around? And you know, while I can only get to the hospital from 9 to 5 because that's when the train runs, what if something happens to me after 5 o'clock? What if I need to get to the hospital after 5 o'clock? What do I do then? So for us, it's really a question of not just the environmental aspect, but the justice aspect of it, and really taking that and running with it. And so for us, there's a 7-mile gap between our neighborhood and 2 neighborhoods down where there is no bus service east to west. And so you have no choice but to take public transit. It takes us 2 hours to get to the lakefront on public transit from our neighborhood. It takes me 1 hour and 57 minutes to fly to New York. And so the question becomes, where is the justice in being able to get to the places that I want to get to, like the lakefront, where I can go with my children, the museum campus, and enjoy the things that this city provides for me. And so Chicago, while is very segregated, they make it so that you stay in your neighborhood, so that you're not that ideal Chicagoan that's roaming Millennium Park. You know, the folks that they want to stay in the community are being forced to stay in their communities. So when we helped form Transit Riders for Public Transit, it was really an opportunity for us as riders to demand not only that we have more bus service and more train service, but that we no longer have to bear the brunt of higher rates because the transit systems don't have money. That the transit systems have slow zones all over the place because they can't maintain the train lines or the streets or anything that the transit system runs on. So for us, it was a question of saying, not only is this funding important to lower the cost, but it's also important because we need maintenance. We need maintenance of our systems. We need maintenance. And our workers live in our neighborhood. These transit workers live in the neighborhood. They're our brothers and sisters, and they're being fired left and right. They're being cut from their jobs left and right. In the month of January, from January to March of 2010, 3,000 transit workers have been fired in the United States alone. And so that to us is the elimination of a public service. The transit systems are not here to make a profit. The transit systems are here to provide a service for you. And when they can't provide a service for you, that means that we can't get anywhere as a city. And that means that not only can we not get anywhere, but our communities are suffering because folks in our neighborhood no longer have jobs, good paying unionized jobs. And so for us, it's a question of the environment, it's a question of saving the public sector, it's a question of giving people an opportunity to not only move around their neighborhoods, but move around outside the neighborhoods that they're in. And it's really a question of equity. And so all of those are fundamental backbones to the environmental justice movement. And so for us, public transit isn't a leap from the environmental justice movement, it's a connecting segment to the environmental justice movement. And when people can recognize that this is no longer just about the polar bears, this is no longer just about saving the ice caps, this is also about saving our communities, saving our public transit system, saving our air, saving our water, and saving our land. All of those things are interconnected, and it's not crazy for us to talk about public transit from an environmental perspective, because the environment is what ties all of us together.